Hi, I'm Alan Beckstead, artist, and what you're seeing behind me are some of the paintings I did representing the San Francisco Pride Parade over the past 5+ years. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the use of color. When people see my work, especially if it's a number of paintings hung at the same time, first thing they usually say is they're so colorful and bright. Uh, so first I want to start describing how that happens. And in an earlier segment, I talked about how I got painting again was for events, and I was painting on coroplast, which is plastic cardboard. Well, it comes in about 8 different colors. And just because I wanted to be variety, I would paint on every color they had. And I was doing life-size caricatures. But what I liked about that as I did it, it was the color bled through. So if it was green, there would be elements of green that would come through. And when I started to start the parade, or actually just painting in general, I really liked how that color bled through. So the first paintings I did, I covered, and I still do, the canvas first with a color, solid color. For the Pride Parade, I stick with the rainbow flag colors for the most part, occasionally a little bit different. And what I like about it is, the sides are also painted. So, unframed, and when they're up, you kind of get that sense of the rainbow flag, not just through the paintings, but on the sides of the paintings. And again, I just love the way that color bleeds through. Some are more noticeable than others, particularly blue paintings. You'll see that creep through. But then it also helps me get into colors in the faces and letting those colors through. And again, in an earlier segment, I talked about my first experience where second grade kid painted Mother Mary in green. Well, I began to realize that, that having that cast of green or purple, instead of using a flesh tone or a darker brown or something like that, and I'd rarely ever use black. I mean, I'm just mixing colors together. That then it becomes more interesting and more vibrant. Probably the best example of that, and I don't have it up here, was a painting I did in honor of Gilbert Baker. My first art show in San Francisco was at Art Saves Lives, and it was supposed to be a joint show with Gilbert Baker, and unfortunately he passed away a couple months before the show, and I never got to meet him. But Thomasina, that ran Art Saves Lives, was doing an event for him, and so I did a painting of him from a photograph that he's underneath the rainbow flag, and he's wearing all green. And of course he's under the green segment, which was in the center. But then the stripes were underneath, and other people were under the flag. Very large flag, obviously. This thing, I think, sure went several hundred yards. But they all had that cast because the sun was coming down. So there were people that had purple in them. There were people that had yellow. There were people that had red. And I painted it all. And I was just so happy with how that turned out, because of all the colors that were in there. And, the other part about this, it isn't just capturing the gay pride flag. It is, these events are happy, they're bright, they're joyful. And yes, and I've done paintings that are not, the resist group, or one of the hardest I ever did was the tribute to the Pulse tragedy, the year that happened. And, but I still wanted to have them bright. And because, that's to me a positive statement. When I have people look at these paintings, it isn't, I want them to maybe get pulled because of the color, but I also hope, particularly if they're straight or maybe they're struggling coming out, that this is, we're Americans, we're humans, we have our joys and our sadnesses, but I hope they relate, and I hope they see that this is maybe one of their family members or a friend or that. And if they've got a little bit of homophobia in them, maybe this hopefully makes them think twice about it and be more accepting of Americans and all of us.